As you probably know, some time ago, the FCC said, we are going to enforce net neutrality, and they chose a path that a lot of people recommended, some people were very concerned about. They said, we're going to regulate broadband companies using Title II of the Telecommunications Act, in effect saying they're the same as telecommunications companies. People were worried because one of the things Title II allows the FCC to do is regulate fares, tariffs. But they said, no, we're just going to cherry pick the parts of Title II that we want that will allow us to prevent things like paying for better performance, things like that. Now, of course, the first thing that happened is the telecoms sued.
Yes.
And they've lost. So the circuit court has said, nope, this is well within the FCC's purview. They are Title II, and we're going to let them do that. Of course, AT&T says we're going to appeal to the Supreme Court.
Of course.
But let's get right now an expert on all of this, because I probably just botched that to heck. Ernesto Omar Falcon is a legislative counsel at the Electronic Frontier Foundation. Hello, Ernesto.
Hey, everyone.
Welcome. Did I say that roughly accurately?
Yeah, I think that's pretty close. It was a pretty much, in legal terms, a blowout at the court. The telecom and the cable industry lost on all of their major arguments, and the FCC had fairly decisively won on this issue.
We were, I was for a long time, and I'm not alone because I think John Oliver joined me, not thrilled with Tom Wheeler as the chairman of the FCC. I think John Oliver said letting Tom Wheeler oversee the broadband companies is kind of like letting a dingo watch your baby, right? Something like that. He compared him to a dingo. Turned out Tom Wheeler, even though he's in the Hall of Fame for the cable companies, the Hall of Fame for the wireless companies, longtime lobbyist for both, in fact, did the right thing and did his best to protect net neutrality. This is a victory for him.
Yeah, and it's what's impressive. I think the cable industry and the telephone industry are a powerful lobby in Washington D.C., probably one of the most powerful. And what changed the dynamic is the fact that 4 million Americans weighed in with their agency, and the public pressure was so intense that all the lobbying in the world wasn't going to stop them from the agency taking action. What's kind of ironic of that the John Oliver piece is I just actually saw Tom Wheeler come to San Francisco yesterday to speak at an event, and on the back of his phone, his daughter bought him a sticker that says "I'm not a dingo." He carries that on his cell phone now. He hears what people are saying. He hears the consumer, and he's acted in their interest in a real powerful way.
Actually, I want to give John Oliver a lot of credit, because I think that piece he did, which was widely circulated on YouTube, really raised people's awareness of net neutrality.
That's his thing, to get people to know about these really convoluted ththings and kind of distill it down to an understandable,
Part of the problem is that net neutrality is about the worst phrase you could use. It is. Because it's just weird.
It's a little intimidating, too,
I would say it's, anti-discrimination. It's preventing internet service providers from discriminating against any particular kinds of bids. Well, you didn't pay us, Netflix, so we're not going to let you have full access to our customers. And that is obviously wrong, and I think most customers would agree. But the debate is not over, Ernesto. What's the next step?
So, as you noted, the telecom companies, they kind of have money to burn in terms of their lawyers. So they'll file an appeal to the Supreme Court. A lot of experts, though, the problem for them is that the reason why they were defeated so handily at the court is because the FCC's legal arguments are fairly sound. They're sound in the constitutional frame. They're also very sound in how they are relying on Supreme Court doctrine to regulate. It's actually a theory under Brand X, which is an earlier case on this very same issue that they relied on. And the idea that the Supreme Court is going to just suddenly change completely its mind from what it's said in the past is pretty slim. So, the chances of them making it to the Supreme Court is actually fairly low.
But now, and correct me if I'm wrong here, it's my understanding that the FCC really operates at the behest of Congress, and that Congress sets the mandate for what the FCC can and cannot regulate. And one of the reasons this appeal failed and the FCC won is because it's very clear. Congress wrote the Telecommunications Act. They provided it with Title II. One of the reasons people advocated categorizing broadband providers as Title II is because it's so clearly part of the FCC's mandate, and the FCC has the right to regulate Title II. But really, it seems to me that while the Supreme Court probably will uphold this decision, it's going to come down to Congress in the long run, isn't it?
And technically that's always true, right?
Right.
Congress always has the power and the decision to change the laws as they see fit. Whether you have a majority in the United States Senate and the United States House of Representatives to make those types of decisions at this moment, I don't think so. I mean, this issue has been voted on numerous times. Not as much as like other contentious issues, but it does not have any consensus on how to proceed, and that usually just means Congress will kind of spin its wheels for the most part.
In other words, like most of us users, they're going to choose the default.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are you saying that this is really, really good news, that this isn't just one step forward? This may be the whole ball game?
This is historic. This has been a fight that's been happening for close to a decade or more. And this decision really just kind of settles all the arguments. I mean, it's so profound. I mean, one of the ironic moments in Congress, they actually had a hearing on the FCC's privacy rules, which are related to this authority. And all the opponents of the FCC, as they were testifying to Congress, saying, oh, they overstepped their bounds, they don't have the legal authority to have done this. And the decision came out in the middle of the hearing. So you had a lot of proponents of the FCC point out, like, well, I guess you're wrong, and this is perfectly lawful. They're within their right. The future challenges right now is right now the House Republicans and the Senate Republicans are trying to defund the agency in ways that prevent it from enforcing its net neutrality rulemaking power, and as well as other provisions that are meant to open up the network. And that's probably where the fight really does shift from year to year, because every year Congress has to pass a new budget for these agencies.
Interesting. So you can have a rule, but if we don't have any enforcement capability, what does it matter?
That's right. I mean, the way they would do it is, and what they're doing now. So the House of Representatives now has a bill that they're moving that says the FCC can't spend any federal dollars enforcing net neutrality. Oh, and then the United States Senate right now has a provision that says the FCC can't open up the cable set-top box market, which is related to net neutrality. Yeah. It's related in the sense that you have a right to connect your own, any cable modem you want. You have a right to connect anything to the broadband network, and the cable television network in a way is more related nowadays than ever. And so it's just about opening up those networks and giving innovators the opportunity to build and connect whatever they feel like, as long as it doesn't harm the network.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the cable companies say things like, well, that set-top box is really what we offer. That's our product, is showing you the channels you want,
Right.
promoting the highlights. And if you take that away from us, well, we're just a bit provider, which is something they've apparently never wanted to be in the first place. Well, we'll watch that one with great interest too. And I think the EFF is really on the side of the angels in all of this. EFF.org. I'm proud to be a monthly contributor, a monthly supporter. And I always go to EFF.org/action to find out what the latest fight is, and to help support the EFF by writing to my Congress critter. And this page is a great place to go to find out what the campaigns are and what you can do to help patent trolls, the current topic du jour. It's Ernesto, thank you so much for joining us and giving us the good news that so far we're winning.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your time, and I appreciate the shout out for the organization.
Yeah.
Definitely, everyone should reach out to their members of Congress, their member of the House, and the 2 senators regularly, because that helps us do our job defending your rights.
Well, isn't that in some ways the moral of this whole story is those petitions, that action that we told everybody, go sign the petition, write your member of Congress. Those things do make a difference.
They do.
Yep. Absolutely. 4 million people couldn't be denied at the end of this.
Yeah. 4 million, that's not a lot.
People.
But it's a fraction.
Yeah.
It's less than 1% of the population. And that just shows you, as geeks, even if we're a minority, if we really stand up for this stuff and we shout out loud what we want, we can really sway the members of Congress, the courts, and the commissions to do the right thing. Thank you, Ernesto. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Take care. That's Ernesto Omar Falcon from the Electronic Frontier Foundation. He's a legislative counsel there.